In this problem, we're asked to calculate the probability of a sample proportion. So take a moment to pause this video to read the full problem statement. So what we're dealing with here is a sample proportion, and what we're ultimately asked to find is the probability that 204 people of the 400 voters polled voted for the referendum. So I'm going to bring up the e-text. This is from section 8.2, where we're given some formulas here that we're going to need when we go to the normal calculator in StatCrunch. So these formulas are things that you would want to work out on the side. So first of all, the mean of the sampling distribution is P. We were given P to be 0.48. All right, so we're going to use that value. Next, the standard deviation of the sampling distribution is the square root of P times 1 minus P over N. So that we will want to calculate. There is one more note here. Technically, we should be checking to see that the with sample size N, that can be no more than 5% of the population size N. But I think that's pretty obvious when we had such a large population to begin with, voting population over 100,000. All right, so I'm going to bring up my calculator to the side so that I can calculate that standard deviation that I need, and I already know that P is going to be 0.48. Okay, so let's find that standard deviation. It's going to be the square root of 0.48 times 1 minus 0.48 divided by the sample size. And we're going to take that value and use it in StatCrunch. So in a separate tab, I have StatCrunch here. I've already opened up the normal calculator. I want to update the mean with P and update the standard deviation with what I just calculated in my calculator here, 0.0250. Okay, so far we've got the mean and standard deviation worked out. I'm going to come back to the problem because ultimately we're asked for what is the probability that more than 204 people voted for the referendum. So I do know I'm going to have to change that inequality sign to be greater than, and I also need to find the proportion that I have here, 204 out of 400. So again, back to my calculator, 204 divided by 400 is 0.51. So I'll return back to the normal calculator, update the inequality, and also type here 0.51 and then compute. So here lies that probability that we were asked for. So let me copy and paste that into our answer space, rounding up that 0 to a 1. And then last, we were asked to comment on the dangers of using exit polling to call this election. So if I think back to that probability, it is greater than 5%. It's approximately 11–12%. So I do know I want to have that as part of my answer in my answer choice here. And also because probabilities greater than 5% are labeled as not unusual, I want to see that wording somewhere in my answer choice. So it looks like choice C is the best answer choice. The result is not unusual because the probability that P hat is greater to or is equal to or more extreme than the sample proportion is greater than 5%. Remember, it was about 11 to 12%.